What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fittdesign TV. On today's episode, we'll be looking at a common wool alternative, acrylic. On this episode, we'll evaluate what acrylic is, take a brief look at its history, evaluate its potential drawbacks, as well as observe its total characteristics. By the end of this episode, you should be able to walk away with a much better understanding of this lesser known synthetic fiber, as well as effectively evaluate whether or not it would make a good addition, whether it's to your wardrobe or as a fiber in your next fashion collection. What's up, design family, and welcome to Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you here. On this channel, we discuss all things sports fashion, graphic design, manufacturing, and technology. We'll discuss key topics, answer pressing questions, and provide actionable steps on starting your own product line. If you're interested in any of the above topics, stick around. You're in for a good one. In short, acrylic is a synthetic fiber that represents an alternative or a synthetic alternative to wool because of its performance, its hand feel, so on and so forth. It's a lot more of a cost-effective alternative because it's synthetic and because we've been able to streamline the ways in which we source and create acrylic. Getting right into it, acrylic fibers are actually made from a synthetic polymer called acrylonitrile. These are produced by creating or reacting certain petroleum or coal-based chemicals with a variety of different monomers. So this type of fiber actually has quite a wool-like aesthetic to it, and acrylic can actually be either used on its own or can be blended with a variety of different synthetic and natural fibers. When it's blended with these natural or synthetic fibers, these are going to go a long way towards enhancing its stretchiness, luster, and warmth. So let's actually take a brief look at acrylic's history. Acrylic was created in 1941 by a company called DuPont. Chances are you've heard this company's name before because they are indeed behind a ton of different synthetic fibers that we typically see in the market. They're behind spandex, they're behind nylon. Initially, they trademarked acrylic under the name Orlon, but acrylic doesn't actually take its place in mass market popularity until the 1950s, where it really blows up and it's seen as a universal alternative for wool. Now let's quickly take a look at the potential impact acrylic has both on us and our environment. Acrylic is not biodegradable or generally recyclable. It's a synthetic fiber after all, so the processing of acrylic also involves emissions of a high amount of volatile organic compounds, all of which are put into the environment, which damages our air quality and can actually lead to long-term health risks. We've looked at the drawbacks, but now let's actually look at some of the characteristics of acrylic. When you actually implement it into clothing, what can you expect? Well, first, acrylic is quite lightweight and soft. It brings a lot of softness and luster to clothing, which is a major plus. It's extremely durable as a fiber. It's quite wear and tear resistant, and it retains warmth extremely well. So it can be used in lower cost outerwear as a good alternative to wool. Also, because of its synthetic nature, acrylic can't be ironed at high temperatures. It does have the tendency to melt, especially when it goes beyond a certain point, so it is quite prone to melting. It peels extremely easily, and in the market we see a lot of acrylic that is often quite heavily chemically treated. It's extremely moisture wicking and fast drying, which is a major plus and one major benefit it has over wool. Moving on, acrylic is extremely UV resistant, so the structure of the fiber will not break down, especially when put under direct sunlight, which we can't say the same for different fibers. It's chemically resistant and it does extremely well with most common bleaching agents. From a mildew and insect side, it's quite resistant to both and will not build mildew over time. And it does take dyes and color fastness extremely well. What that means is you're going to get a very accurate or an accurately dyed color when you go ahead and do custom dye, and it will hold on to that color and its vibrancy very well over time. And ultimately, to sum up the characteristics, it's easily washable and will not shrink like wool, where anyone who's owned a wool sweater or a wool jacket will know that put that thing through the washer and it shrinks 3 sizes almost immediately. So this is a major benefit that acrylic has over wool. Lastly, it does gather static electricity quite readily, so if this is a concern for you, definitely beware. That's a wrap on this episode, guys. hopefully you are much more educated, or you have a much better understanding of what acrylic is, what its key characteristics are, and where you can and can't use it. If you guys enjoyed this quick fiber update, let us know in the comments below if you want to see other episodes like this where we'll spotlight a specific fiber and outline key characteristics, its history, and just introduce you briefly to this world. We've also done other videos like this that I highly recommend you check out on our channel. We've covered polyester, nylon, and a ton of other fibers, so definitely do check those videos out. Guys, if you guys enjoyed this episode and want to see other episodes like it, consider subscribing. We put out great content every week, pretty much every Wednesday and every Sunday, and haven't missed a beat in over 2 years. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Fittdesign TV. Until next episode, stay awesome.